right, back to number 3. New problem, new table up here behind me, right? It says refer to table 7.5. It says if the market price of an orange is $1.20, then the market quantity of oranges demanded is. So this is just, they want you to figure out how much people are going to buy based on the difference, again, between their willingness to pay and the market price. Market price, we're saying, is $1.20. All right, so now, Allison, first orange, she's willing to pay $2 for that first orange. It's $1.20. She's definitely in. There's one. Second orange, she likes oranges a great deal. She's willing to pay $1.50. Price is $1.20. She's going to buy this as well. She will not buy the third orange because she's only willing to pay 75 cents for the third orange. Market wants $1.20. She's not there. We go to Bob. Bob's willing to pay $1.50 for the first orange. Price is $1.20. Bob will buy. Next, second orange, Bob's only willing to pay $1. Price is $1.20. Bob won't buy this, and he won't buy that. We go to Charisse, 75 cents. That's all she's willing to pay now for an orange. First, this is $1.20. She says no. She's willing to pay even less. She's not going to buy it. She's not paying it. She doesn't even want another orange, so she's out. So, at the end of the day, 1 orange is purchased, 2 oranges is purchased, 3 oranges is purchased. That's all. 3 oranges will be purchased in this market because that's where people's willingness to pay exceeds the market price. Your answer for number 3 is C, 3 oranges. All right, that's pretty straightforward. Well, hopefully it's pretty straightforward. Next, it says, question number 4, Armand, refer to table 7.5. If the market price of an orange is 40 cents, then. So let's look at the answers. 6 oranges are demanded and consumer surplus amounts to $4.45. 6 oranges are demanded, blah, 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 7 and 7. So now if we can just figure out how many oranges will be demanded at this price of $40, we can eliminate 2 answers immediately because they differ on that dimension. So P equals 40 cents. So doing our exercise, we know Allison will buy at least 1 for sure. She'll buy 2, she'll buy 3. Allison's in for 3 of these goods. Bob, he'll buy 1. It's greater than the 1. $1 is greater than the 40. 80 is greater than that. 6 have been purchased. Go to Charisse, 75 cents, greater than this. She will buy this. She will not buy a second orange, and she certainly won't buy a third orange. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 oranges in which the person's willingness to pay exceeds the market price for the orange. In this case, if an orange is 40 cents, 7 oranges will be purchased. So now you can go to your problem and you look at it and you immediately get rid of A and B. Because once they say 6 oranges, that's wrong. We know it has to be 7 oranges. And now we have to compute the consumer surplus for these particular oranges. And this is a bit, a little bit of math here, or just arithmetic, right? All we have to do now is to get the difference between what they're willing to pay and what they actually have to pay. So let's take Allison. And let's look at her consumer surplus. So Allison, the first one, her consumer surplus is $1.60, right? That's the difference between the $2 she's willing to pay and the 40 cents that she had to pay. She loves that first orange. Second, her consumer surplus is $1.50 minus 40, $1.10 for Allison on her second purchase. Her third purchase, she's willing to pay 75, pays 40. Her third purchase is 35 cents on that. So there's Allison's consumer surplus for these particular items. All right, let's move on. Let's look at Bob. Bob's willing to pay $1.50, price is 40. So Bob's consumer surplus, I'll put B, C, S right here. Bob's consumer surplus in the first one is another $1.10. Bob's consumer surplus in the second one is 60 cents. Bob's consumer surplus on the fourth one is 40 cents, right? Again, simply difference between willingness to pay and how much they actually had to shell out in the market. Let's go to Charisse, and we'll do her consumer surplus. Well, she certainly buys the first orange. 75 cents she's willing to pay, costs 40 cents. Her consumer surplus is 35. She does not buy the second orange. She stops there. She doesn't buy a third orange. So now these all represent differences between the consumer's willingness to pay and what they actually had to pay. So let's add it up, okay? This comes out to be 5. This comes out to be 0. This is 3. So the consumer surplus for Allison is 305. The consumer surplus for Bob is, we can add this up, that's 210. And the consumer surplus here for Allison is 35. We add these across. We've got 515 plus 35. Looks like 550 to me. Do we have that answer there? Yes, there it is. It's D. So 7 oranges will be purchased, and the consumer surplus across all 3 consumers in total will be $5.50. All right? Takes a bit of time, not hard. Once you get the basic idea down, you just got to compute these numbers a little carefully. Lastly, it says if the market price of an orange increases from 70 cents to 140, then consumer surplus from 70 cents to 40. So this is a bit of a pain because we now have to compute this consumer surplus at $1.40 and the consumer surplus at 70 and figure out what the difference is between them. Not hard, just have to do it. All right? So now the price, we'll take the price as 70 cents. All right? Again, let's put Allison's consumer surplus here down. So at 70 cents, she's willing to purchase the first one at $2. That's a consumer surplus of 130. Second one, 150, charge 70 cents. Her consumer surplus is 80 on the second one. On the last one, she's willing to pay 75, only costs 70, she'll get it, but her surplus is reduced to 5 cents. So there's Allison. Let's go to Bob's consumer surplus. This is, again, at a price of 70 cents. So Bob, at 70 cents, there's the difference between 150 and that's 80 cents. The second one, he has a consumer surplus of 30. And the last one, he has a consumer surplus of 10. All right, with me? And then lastly, on Charisse, her consumer surplus at a price of 70 cents is simply 75 minus 70, or 0.05. So let's add these up. All right, so that gives us 5. That's 11. That's 215 there. This is 0 and 120 here for Bob, and here is simply 0.05. So if I add this up, I'm at 335 plus 5. I'm at $3.40 is the consumer surplus when the price is 70 cents. Now, change our story. Can you write that down? $3.40 at a price of 70. I'm going to erase this. I'll keep this part right here. And now we have to compute the consumer surplus when the price is now $1.40 and get the difference. So P is equal to $1.40, just as a reminder to you. So now let's figure out how much is going to be purchased and what the consumer surplus is. So Allison will certainly get the first orange as usual. She loves this thing. Difference here is 60 cents. So Allison's first consumer surplus at 140 is 60 cents. Here, her consumer surplus, she'll buy the second orange. The price is only 150 versus 140. Her consumer surplus is 10 cents. She will not buy a third orange. She's out of the market. Go to Bob. Bob will buy that first orange at 150. His consumer surplus will be 10 cents. He will not buy a second orange, nor will he buy a third orange. Again, his willingness to pay is less than the market price. He's not in. Charisse will get nothing, right? Willing to pay 75? No way. She's out of this market. She's not willing to pay the price of $1.40 for an orange. So now our consumer surplus, when the price is equal to 140, is 70 plus 10, or 80. So now, consumer surplus was $3.40, we said, when the price was 70. Now, when the price goes to 140, consumer surplus is 80. The difference between these is equal to $3.40 minus 80 cents equals $2.60. So that should be the answer. Let's take a look. Flip my page here, and there it is. C, $2.60 is the difference in consumer surplus when price goes from 70 to 40. Moral of the story, consumer surplus goes down when price goes up. All right? We're going to use that point a lot in the near future. All right, let me stop. I have to draw a new question, a new diagram on the board. I'll come back when that diagram is up, and we'll go on to problem number 6.